For those that haven't met me yet, I have been at UAA now for about 7 months, and it is such an exciting time to join UAA, just as we are inviting our community to stand up for their value of higher education for a better Alaska. UAA, with your help, is investing in the core priority areas that have been identified by the University of Alaska as drivers of systemic change and embraced by UAA's 2025 strategic plan. As you may be familiar, this campaign is called the For Alaska campaign. The For Alaska campaign is an 8-year campaign to raise $200 million for the University of Alaska system. And since the silent phase of the campaign in 2017, donors across the UA system have contributed $135 million of this goal. Every dollar that is donated to the UA system is counted towards this goal to build a brighter future for Alaska. And UA's strategic priorities during this campaign are to create an Alaska with a culture of education and equitable access to education, a source of relevant research, a workforce trained for local jobs, which is why we're here today, a diversified economy, and athletic excellence. Building a skilled workforce for Alaska means preparing our students to meet and fulfill Alaska's growing workforce demands. This is essential to our mission at UAA. We strive to position our graduates at the head of the job market. Alaskan practicality has served the state well, creating a robust workforce for a resource economy. As our economy rapidly evolves, however, new skills are needed. And UA's priority is to train more Alaskans in the skills industry needs today and in the future. Our goal is to double the number of graduates in key workforce areas, including geomatics, computer science, networking, civil engineering, construction management, all areas of healthcare and human services, as well as technical careers such as welders and pilots. And as industry pivots to a new economy, the workforce needs to pivot as well. This is how we will drive the future of our state and give Alaskans career opportunities for their whole lives. We are asking our community to consider how together we can ignite opportunity for students through increased scholarships and awards that encourage students to enter fields of study most needed by our state, particularly healthcare. Lead the way in Alaska health, engineering, and business through faculty support that attracts talent in key areas of study and allows us to build our capacity in serving students. And create expanded and upgraded spaces and career laboratories that provide hands-on skill building experiences in high-demand workforce programs. Today, we've gathered to talk about some of the projects from across the university that show how UAA is building Alaska's workforce. There are so many projects that ready students for jobs in Alaska from all across UAA, so this will just be a taste. So, our first presentation today is from Dean Jesse. He prefers to go by Jeff, so I'm not just being rude, I promise. Jeff has over 35 years of experience in the Alaska healthcare sector, including his former position as CEO of the Alaska Mental Health Trust Authority, and has received many honors through his career. Just the last one that I found, but of many, is the 2016 Cultural Humanitarian Award from the Alaska Psychological Association. So thank you so much, Jeff, for presenting here today. You're welcome to take it away.
Well, thanks, Sam. And as I said in my introduction, I'm excited about the opportunity to grow our own. You know, healthcare and health workforce has never been more important to Alaska and Alaskans than it has been over the last year with COVID. As we've faced so many health crises and trying to staff our hospitals, staff our clinics, and keep people alive and healthy. You know, particularly in terms of rural Alaska, many of our, we call them customers, our hospitals, healthcare programs, have to import people into Alaska from outside. We call them travelers. And I didn't know till I took this job that being a traveler is actually a career path, that you collect a bonus, you come to a place, you stay there long enough to vest in your bonus, and then you head off somewhere else to collect another bonus and see the world. But we're not that interested in helping people to see the world. What we want to do is to have these jobs available for Alaskans. And my personal goal is to eliminate the need for travelers, particularly in rural Alaska. And as was pointed out, not just entry-level positions, but to move people up and articulate them from maybe an associate's degree or an occupational endorsement into a bachelor's, master's, doctorates. And the university has a huge array of health programs. Of course, there's the marquee programs that were mentioned in the presentation, like nursing. We'll never have enough nurses probably coming out of the university to fill the ever-growing need in Alaska, but also new programs that address the needs that our customers tell us they have. Surge Tech is a good example of that, where industry tried to train up surgical technicians for ORs with an apprenticeship on the job training model. And it really wasn't working for them. Their employees didn't have the core knowledge that they needed about the operating room, healthcare, physiology, etc. And so they came to us and helped us financially to develop a surgical tech program, create a surgical tech lab in order to produce Alaskans that could meet that health workforce need. The College of Health and the university statewide has over 45 different health programs. And of course, they do range from allied health like dental hygiene, dental assisting, physical therapy, we have a doctor in pharmacy, a partnership program with Idaho State, but also areas in the human services, such as social work, the human services program, public health. All of these help to produce graduates that can serve our communities. It's always a challenge for us because we are an open access university and our tuition is still relatively low compared to many of our comparable institutions outside. In fact, in the College of Health, none of our programs are self-sufficient, purely on tuition. All of them need additional help, whether it's from state general funds or the generous contributions that we get from our partners in the healthcare field in order to make up that difference between what tuition generates and what it costs to provide these programs. We're particularly focused on developing distance programming in rural Alaska so that students can stay in their region, in their communities, in order to get these important degrees and qualifications to provide services in their locale. What we know is if they have to leave their region in order to come to Anchorage or Fairbanks in order to continue their education, that we're going to lose a lot of them to the big cities. And they won't go back to their rural regions and communities where we desperately need them to serve their local community, as I said, get rid of these travelers. So again, it's a wealth of opportunity in healthcare to develop these Alaskans into qualified individuals to take these health workforce jobs. We're growing. The regents have recognized this. They've given us actually an additional $1 million in initiative funding to grow programs. We'll be investing that in the coming year. And again, with that support, plus the ongoing and increasing support from our community partners, the future for health education at the University of Alaska is quite bright.
Thank you so much, Jeff. We can open up for questions. If you have come in already into the chat box, remember to type your questions into the chat. You can either do it privately or to everyone. Our first question for you, Jeff, is how did the college adapt during the pandemic?
Well, one of the first things that we realized is that beyond just the educational programs that we have and that we needed to maintain, the state desperately needed some of the expertise that we have in the college. So for example, Tom Hennessy and our public health people were commissioned by the state and the municipality of Anchorage to do a lot of the modeling. Not only of the progress of the pandemic itself, but also the impacts of the mitigation measures that were being taken in various parts of the state. In addition, the State Department of Health and Social Services commissioned us not only to train contact tracers, but to actually stand up contact tracing capacity for the state. And we have now over 300 contact tracers that are available to ensure that we're able to track down where infections are coming from and help people to minimize the spread. We also led in the area of gathering personal protection equipment together so that we could make sure that our first responders in those early months had available the personal protection equipment that normally we would stockpile within the university for use during the academic year for our students. And of course, we had to keep our students moving. Healthcare training, more than some areas, is very hands-on. So we had to really work with our partners in the community to make sure that we could continue our clinical programs and give our students that actual real-world experience that they needed to graduate. And we were also able to expedite graduation, particularly in some areas like nursing, so that we could get nurses out there in the community working in healthcare, not necessarily in the ICU, but in other units within the hospital, so that those experienced nurses could be best used in the more intensive areas. We've learned a lot about distance delivery during the pandemic. That will carry over as we return to the new normal, as people like to call it. And I think this will be particularly helpful in our rural programs where we need to combine local clinical opportunities with distance education on the other areas so that we can graduate those students in place.
Thank you, Jeff. We have another question. What positive new academic practices and teaching modalities were gleaned from COVID and which would be carried over in the future? And you did touch on this one. So if you feel like you already answered that one, we can go on to another
No, the
question.
other one I'll mention is people are surprised how much that we are able to use simulation. We have a very high-tech simulation center with state-of-the-art mannequins where people from many different disciplines can actually try out their new skills in a safe environment. They can even speak through the mannequin. And so the students can ask questions of the mannequin in real time. We also use in simulation a lot of standardized patients or actors. So in our human services arenas, we're able to actually give people opportunities to practice their counseling skills on a real person who's been given a script. So those are all things that we increased and relied on more and more during COVID and will stand us in good stead as we move back to the new normal.
Thank you, Jeff. And we only have about another minute, but there is one more question I want to ask you. How is the college working with UAS, UAF, and external partners to grow Alaska's health workforce? And what regions of the state do you feel will be a focus in the short term?
Yes, right now we are partnering with the other two universities in the system to share this resource that the regions have given us for strategic investment. And I actually think the YK Delta is probably going to be one of the regions that we're really going to focus on building a whole continuum of healthcare resources through our Kuskokwim campus there, with the Yukon-Kuskokwim Health Corporation recently building a new hospital and adding hundreds of new healthcare positions That's an area where we really feel that we can model the distance delivery of health education to a region that desperately needs health workforce, and we want to grow our own in that region.
Thank you so much, Jeff. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to continue putting them in the chat box and just make sure they're set to everyone. And then Jeff can respond to them in the chat, or we can have him follow up an email afterwards. Our next presentation is from Stacia Straley. She is the professor of accounting at UAA and also the president of the Alaska State Society of CPAs and owner of a small accounting firm. So with this experience, she definitely understands the importance of educating bookkeepers and accountants to meet Alaska's needs. Stacia, go ahead.
Yay. So thank you so much, first of all, for being here. I really appreciate it. It's so motivating to know that people are invested in what we're doing every day. It's very, very motivating. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I want to talk to you about 3 main programs that we have in accounting. We have 2 accounting and 1 bookkeeping program. I'm going to share my screen, and I just created a couple super simple slides. I'll actually post them into the chat. So if it's easier to go over there on your own, that's fine, but I'll share them for just a second. Okay, so we have the first program we have that I wanted to talk to you about. It's brand new. It's the OEC, or Occupational Endorsement Certificate in bookkeeping, and it's only 16 credits, which is great for a number of reasons. This program, because it's only 16 credits, can be completed in 12 to 18 months, and it consists of basic financial accounting. There's a QuickBooks class, there's some Excel because accountants love Excel, and then there's business foundations. So the OEC, another just exciting thing I want to mention, which is included in the OEC and in the AAS in accounting, which we'll get to in a second, is that we offer students the opportunity to take the QuickBooks Certified User Exam, which is a national exam. So they can take this test, they can leave us, and they will be nationally certified upon completing this course, which is awesome. So the OEC in bookkeeping really serves a ton of different groups, a bunch of different people. If you just do a quick search for bookkeeping jobs or bookkeeping positions or accounting positions, you'll see there are literally hundreds of them online, no matter where you are in the state. But I think there are really 2 groups that this is ideal for. One are high school students who are enrolled in dual enrollment programs, because you can actually graduate with your high school diploma and your OEC at the same time. So that's really exciting to have your high school diploma and have a college degree at the same time. That's really cool. And the other group that this is really great for are those administrative assistants who were really top performers and then got put into a bookkeeping role, but they have no formal education, no formal training. They don't really know what they're doing. They were just really successful in their last position. This is like the ideal job for them. And because it's only 16 credits, they can go to school part-time, and it's not going to take them, 10 years to finish their degree. They can still work full-time, they can manage a family, but they can still be getting the training that they need. So I think that's just a win-win-win-win. Let's see, I want to make sure I cover all of those things. Okay, so up next we have the AAS in accounting. 15 of the 16 credits from the bookkeeping degree fit directly into the 60 credits of the AAS in accounting. So that's really nice for students who are planning ahead and they have these check-ins along the way. So especially for most of our students, they're working full-time and they're going to school part-time. They're not having to wait so long to hit these milestones. They can get degrees along the way, and they're also employable after the OEC or after the AAS. And then they can continue on into their BBA, which is our final degree, which is 120 credits. And all 60 credits of the AAS fit into the 120. So they're really nice building blocks. And like I said, students can get jobs after each one of those. I'm just going to really quickly show you the other slide. It has the the acronyms, so what each thing stands for. So the OEC is Occupational Endorsement Certificate, AAS Associate of Applied Science, and BBA is Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the share, but you can still, I shared it in the chat, so if you want to go back and take a look at that, you can. I just want to share a couple quick stats with you. So the state of Alaska estimates the bookkeeping, accounting, and auditing clerk job positions, which are the OEC and the AAS, those job positions to increase 5.5% from 2018 to 2028. And they estimate that accountant and auditor job positions, which are those BBA type jobs, will increase 6.3% in that same time period. So they expect pretty significant growth. And like I said, there's hundreds of positions available now if you go do a search for that. The last thing I wanted to mention, because we're so proud of it, is the College of Business and Public Policy. We just had our AACSB accreditation renewed. Only 5% of colleges of business worldwide are AACSB accredited, so we're just really, really proud of that. So we just wanted to mention it. So as you can see, we have these programs that are really well placed in the community. They're definitely filling a need in the community. I'm super excited about them, so I hope that you are all excited about them as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Stacia. We do have a few questions already. If you have any questions, remember to type them in the chat box and I'll read them off. The first question, how can we support you in growing these programs?
So the best way I would say to support growing the programs would be just to be talking about them. So, and I noticed there's a comment in chat too that says the AAS is a great example of developing a needed and targeted workforce. You've heard about it and people love the workers they produce. That's exactly it, like talking about it, talking to people who have a need, having them reach out to us, encouraging employers to pay for their employees to come back to school or come get training from these. I think the more that people know about these programs and the more that we can get out there, just the better it is. There's just a ton of partnerships I think that we can build with different employers in the state. So just spreading the news, spreading the good news, I think would be the best way to support our programs, in addition to your financial donations, of course. Thank you for those.
Thank you. We have another question.
Sure.
What is the difference between the 3 accounting related degrees that UA offers? What types of jobs can graduates expect to get?
Yeah, so the OEC, the 16 credit one, the certificate, you would get a more basic level data entry type job. So you would be maybe doing like accounts payable. So writing checks out, you know, matching invoices, making sure that you're paying what you should be paying. So it would be kind of the more basic level. With the AAS, the 60-degree one, 60 credit one, you would have your jobs can vary quite a bit actually with that position. You could actually own your own business, or you can do bookkeeping for a number of businesses, an individual business or an actual accounting firm that does accounting for other people. And so that level of work is usually also very detailed. You're in the numbers, you know them inside and out. And then the BBA is the higher level, and jobs with the BBA really vary. You can do taxes, which probably is the job people are most familiar with. If you tell someone you're an accountant, they say, oh, I need help with my taxes. But there are lots of other jobs as well. You can do an audit and make sure that people have their financials properly stated, which is a great service to the public. You can also be, you know, an IRS agent or an FBI agent and track down bad people. I don't know, bad people. So, you know, help get resources where they belong. So there's a ton of different jobs. There's a lot of government jobs. There's a ton of variety. So with the BBA, your work is typically higher level, helping make management decisions, that sort of thing. So they're definitely all different and all in demand.
Thank you, Stacia. We have another question. Remember, if you have questions, just type them in the chat box. The next question, I've heard that computers are making accounting an outdated field. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I also sometimes hear this, or I'll read an article that says like accountants are going to be outdated in 5 years, and to which accountants usually start laughing, and we assume the author does not know very much about accounting. So I think there are certain things within accounting that certainly could be helped with technology, and there are some functions that we could outsource to technology functions, but that would just free us up to do other things. As you can see, there's way too much demand right now for us to fill the supply. So yeah, the thing is with accounting, there's a lot of professional judgment. Things are not black and white. There's a lot of gray. And so to be able to outsource that to a computer, I don't know, maybe in 100 years when computers are running everything, if that's where we're going, but not anytime soon.
Thank you so much, Stacia. And if you think of any questions for Stacia, of course, just write them in the chat box and have it set to everyone, and Stacia can just respond later in the program or email you afterwards. Our next presentation is by Professor Lobby. He is an associate professor from Kenai Peninsula College and has a master's and career in technical education, and previously worked in maintenance and operations at an ammonia plant in Kenai. Take it away, Professor Lobby.
Thank you for asking me to be one of the speakers here at the virtual speaker series at UAA, and especially since the topic is shaping the workforce for Alaska. I have a PowerPoint that I want to share with everybody here for today. As was said, I am the process tech instructor at the Kenai Peninsula College, and my presentation is about how our students go to work. The process tech program is a 2-year degree. It has 19 classes. They're taught in the fall, spring, and summer semesters. It's nationally endorsed by the North America Process Tech Alliance. We've got a lot of student engagement. In Alaska, a process technician will operate facilities like pipelines, North Slope oil and gas flow stations, Cook Inlet area onshore and offshore oil and gas production facilities, refineries, petrochemical plants, mining, ore processing, water, wastewater, beer brewing, fish processing, and many more other kinds of processing facilities as well. Our hands-on labs, well, are popular. We have all our lectures are available asynchronous online with lecture videos, and most will also be offered as a face-to-face and online once the pandemic has ended. There are a few hands-on labs that require students to come to the Soldotna campus. Labs are done in a lab-intensive way to minimize the number of trips to campus. One of the capstone skills is troubleshooting. Our school has done really well. Only the top teams in North America are invited to the National Troubleshooting Skill Competition. I want to say that troubleshooting is monitoring a process like the screen you see on the right of your screen here, and we've won numerous trophies, first, second, and third place trophies, as well as being invited to numerous of those competitions. Travel to those competitions is expensive, and if you wanted to specifically donate to our travel costs, the information on how to do that is on this slide. I want to say too, the process technology earnings data, according to the Institute of Social and Economic Research, we were the top paid degree program after 5 years in the entire university system. And most of our workers stay in Alaska. This data was from the December 14th data. Looking at the October 2020 data of the Alaska Economic Trends, the oil and gas industry is one of the fourth largest projected growth areas in our state for the next decade. I also want to say that our placement is really high. We have a lot of our students going to work. This is a bar graph showing what percentage of our students are employed after the fourth quarter after exit. And also the Anchorage Economic Development Corporation is predicting that we're going to have growth headed forward. Let's talk about a few of our successes. The first one I want to showcase is Ashley Messer. She graduated in 2010. She was hired as a contract operator for E&I initially, and then she was one of 10 of our graduates that got picked up by Exxon to run their Point Thompson facility. Currently, they're all trained to the level of being control room operators running one of the highest pressure compressor systems in the world working for Exxon. We also had a number of our 2016 graduates picked up by Blue Crest Energy when they opened up their facility down in Anchor Point. Blue Crest Energy has since hired quite a few more from our school. Here's Stephen Gergilovich. He was a dual process technology and industrial process instrumentation major. He graduated just in 2018. He was captain of the troubleshooting team that took second place. He's been working at Kaparik. And here is Brenner Musgrave, also a dual degree student, 2020 graduate. He was a troubleshooting team member. He got hired by NSTAR, and he's working as a pipeline helper, helping both operations and maintenance on the Kenai Peninsula. And finally, I wanted to talk about something that happened just here last week. McKinley Larson got picked up by Hillcorp for their internship program this summer. He's planning on graduating with his process tech degree next year. So if you know somebody who needs to get to the process, into process technology, I'm available for advising. I answer calls 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. 7 days a week. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Professor Lobby. We do have a few questions. We also had a comment in the chat box. Someone said they knew Ashley. That's really, really great. Another question. How many students are currently in the program and what would it take to grow?
Right now we have about 50 to 60 students that graduate annually out of our program, which isn't quite enough. I mean, there's also a process tech program out of Fairbanks, but between our two programs, we still don't supply the demand from industry. There's roughly 4,000 operator positions in the state of Alaska. And, you know, as those people age out of their jobs, we're trying to replace them. But like I said, we don't have enough students.
Thank you. We have another question. How does climate change affect this degree?
You know, energy is going to be something we need. And as much as we're striving to get off of hydrocarbons, I don't believe that we're going to see that part of our energy supply dry up anytime soon. And even so, when we transition to a more distributed renewable energy systems, even those programs or those processes are something that process technicians can help operate.
Thank you. And we have another question. And if you have questions, remember to type them in the chat box. How many students graduate process technology annually?
About 40 to 60 annually graduate from our program.
Thank you so much, Professor Lobby. Oh, do we have one more comment in the chat box? Someone says that it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And remember, if anyone has any questions, you can continue to type them, have them set to everyone so that Professor Lobby can see it and he can respond in the chat box. This was really great learning about what UA is doing. I'm learning so much from this series. It's kind of a selfish endeavor. So thank you so much for presenting today. And thank you for our supporters for joining us today. It's great to hear what drives you and everything you do for the university. And also it's nice to see your wheels turning too, as we all come to create ideas together on how to better our future through these strategic priorities. It's just one now, so I'll let you all go. I hope you have a really nice day. Bye.